Hi guys, welcome back to the home in Homestead. Today we will be doing a tomato preservation recipe and we will be trying out a new recipe for barbecue sauce. So I have already preserved tomatoes for a number of different recipes this year, and so in order to use up some of the last of our tomatoes, I'm going to make some flavorful sauces, and today we'll do a barbecue sauce. So we'll combine tomatoes that we have prepped and made into tomato sauce. If you'd like to see how I created the tomato sauce, you can check out my ketchup 2 ways video, and I discussed what appliances and attachments work really well for making tomato sauce, which you can use for a base of recipes. You can also see step-by-step how to assemble and use the KitchenAid fruit and vegetable strainer with the food grinder attachment, and see that setup in action, as that is how I created the tomato sauce for the barbecue sauce recipe we will be doing today. So to start, we have 5 quarts of tomato sauce in here that I prepped. And that ended up being 12 pounds or about 45 Roma tomatoes in order to give us the 5 quarts of tomato sauce starter today. So to this 6-quart Nesco Roaster, we will add 1.5 cups of finely minced onion, which is about 2 medium onions. And this roaster oven I am borrowing from my mom, and this one's kind of a unique model in that it also has a convection attachment to it. So right now I just have the base plugged in and it is being used as a traditional roaster oven. However, if you put the lid on, it has an additional attachment that has a fan, and this clip comes off. You attach the black part and then you reattach the fan on the inside of the lid here. And then it turns it into a convection oven. So that's very helpful if you're doing, a roasted turkey or ham, or just helps speed up the cooking process when using this roaster oven. If I can find a similar oven to this model online, I will add that link in the description box if that's something that you're interested in adding to your kitchen. So remove the lid again and back to our barbecue sauce recipe. To this, we will add 1 cup of molasses, and 1/2 cup of honey, mix this together, and I will turn the roaster oven to 350 degrees. 1 cup of white vinegar, 5% acidity. We will be water bath canning this barbecue sauce later. Next, we will need 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce and 1/4 cup of lemon juice. Let me mix this around a bit. To this, we will add 1.5 tablespoons of mustard powder and 1.5 tablespoons of garlic powder. Whisk these in. Now to add a little extra something to the barbecue sauce, we'll add 4 ounces or 1/2 cup of candied jalapenos or cowboy candy. You can check out my video on how I make my candied jalapenos, as well as the recipe for that. Last but not least, let's add a little bit of liquid smoke. So we'll do a dash of liquid smoke. This is the hickory. Let's mix this all together. You can really smell that liquid smoke and molasses as this roaster is warming up. Alright, so let me put the lid on here. We'll set a timer for 2 hours and we'll come back and check the progress of this, and we'll see if it needs to cook longer in order to thicken up, or if we need to add any spices or seasoning. Alright, so the barbecue sauce is finished. So we'll remove the lid here. I'll give you a quick look at how the sauce looks So it went down about a quarter of the volume with the 4 hours of cook time. And the ingredients that I listed initially, I drastically changed. So you can disregard those ingredients. I will go over shortly what I ended up adding to get to this point in this color for the barbecue sauce. So the recipe I ended up with to make this sweet and tangy barbecue sauce is the 12 pounds of tomatoes, or about 5 quarts, and 45 Roma tomatoes, as well as 1.5 cups of finely minced onion, or about 2 medium-sized onions. That remains the same. I ended up doing 1.5 cups of molasses, a 1/2 cup of honey, 2 cups of brown sugar, 2 cups of vinegar, and that's white vinegar, 5% acidity, a 1/2 cup of Worcestershire sauce, a 1/2 cup of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 3 tablespoons of mustard powder, 3 tablespoons of garlic powder, and a 1/2 cup of candied jalapenos, or cowboy candy, that you can see my video for how I make those. And finally, a dash of liquid smoke, the hickory flavor. And that is how we ended up with the sweet and tangy barbecue sauce we have here. So now I'll get this barbecue sauce into the pint jars, and we'll get this water bath canned. Okay, so I have all the barbecue sauce jarred up. We have 7 pints and a little extra. The extra I will put in a container and put in the refrigerator for enjoying right now. So let's take the cover off of the water bath canner. Double check the temperature. Let's add the jars to the water bath canner. So to the base of this, I have a jar rack, and then I place the jars right on top of that. You want to make sure the water is at least 1 inch above the tops of the jars. And these we will process for 20 minutes. And that is all based on your altitude, which I will go over in a moment. So then we add the cover back and set the timer for 20 minutes. So what I meant by the altitude affects the processing time. Here we have the altitude chart, which is in the Ball Blue Book, as well as the Ball Complete Guide to Home Preserving, and other such canning cookbooks, and it may be with the manual of your canner. But it shows here boiling water method, which is the water bath method. And based on your altitude in feet, this is how much you would increase the processing time for the recipe. So just keep that in mind when processing during canning. So we'll let these jars of barbecue sauce process, and we'll come back and see how they look. Okay, so the processing time has finished for the barbecue sauce. So we will remove the lid, place it off to the side, and we'll let the jars sit in the canner for about 5 minutes, and then we'll move them over to the cooling and sealing area and see how they look. Okay, so here we have the finished barbecue sauce. And this is a sweet and tangy barbecue sauce. It has a nice burgundy brown color to it. And we have 7 pints and about a 1/2 cup. The 1/2 cup remainder I put in the refrigerator, and we can enjoy that now. For the Nesco oven here, how I clean these is I fill the cooking reservoir with water and dish soap, and then I set the oven to 350 degrees and for about a 1/2 hour, and then what that does is it steams and cooks off any cooked on residue and things like that. And then once that is completed, usually you can get most, if not all, of the food debris off of the inserts for the roaster oven. So for the barbecue sauce, it took 4 hours to cook, checking it and stirring it and adding flavors and seasonings, as I mentioned earlier. And if you want a very smooth barbecue sauce, you can use an immersion blender, and that'll give a nice silky consistency. Well, I hope you enjoyed our time together in the kitchen today, doing some tomato preservation and trying out a new recipe for a sweet and tangy barbecue sauce. You can check out other videos I have on food preservation, as well as another barbecue sauce recipe I have, which is a rhubarb barbecue sauce, which is an interesting take on a Carolina mustard barbecue sauce. You can also check out other tomato preservation ideas I have, including ketchup done 2 ways, and some salsa recipes. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. See you next time. Take care.